Good morning, everyone. Hope you're well and welcome back to the Sanderson Show. It's MMA Monday, where we chop up stuff that's happened over the weekend and think about some stuff that could be happening in the future. I'm joined with my brother Calvin. He's obviously a very happy man this Monday morning, being a John Jones fan. So we're going to speak about UFC 309, Jones's comments at the post-fight press conference of UFC 309, Stipe Miocic's retirement, Tommy Fury taking on Darren Till, and also the fight that happened between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. But we have to start with UFC 309.
Of course.
The consensus GOAT, John Jones, went out there and looked brilliant against Stipe. Was it the best Stipe we've seen? No. Was it the best Jones we've seen? No. But it was a very good John Jones. The duck comments are starting to fly, and shout out to Martin. Cal, I know you joined us for the watch along. Shout out to Luke and Jamie and Drift as well. Just looking back in hindsight now, what did you make of that performance? And do you actually think that win for Jones adds to his legacy to the point where he believes it does?
Does it add to his legacy? Honestly, no, it doesn't. I think it's a win, a fight, and a win that he wanted for himself personally. Which, fair enough, everybody has that personal, those persons that they want to fight and they want to be able to say, "I won." I think he basically did that because Stipe has got the most heavyweight title defenses, so it's just to say he beat him. You mentioned that at the top, is it the best Stipe and is it the best John? No, it's not. I totally agree. However, there's a rhetoric going around that, it's because Stipe is 42 years old and so on and so forth. Dare I say, Stipe did not look bad. He did not fight badly. I don't think Father Time necessarily had that effect on Stipe. I think that John Jones was that good. I think we're doing a disservice to Stipe saying that, it's because he was old and whatnot. No, Stipe looked good. Stipe was fighting as best as he could. He took some shots. He got some ground and pound. He managed to survive. A lot of people wouldn't have survived that. He did really well. To me, it was just that Jones was that good. And I know why you're smiling. But yeah, to me, Jones was just that good. Father Time did not win over Stipe.
Is this you being a Jones fan though? Is this you speaking as a Jones fan?
I don't think so. Yes, I'm a Jones fan. I'm not gonna lie. If Jones lost yesterday, lost on Sunday night, I would not be on this call with you right now. Not at all. But no, it's not just being a Jones fan. I genuinely think that Stipe did look good. It's just that Jones was that much better. What say you?
Look physically, in terms of physique-wise, because of physique-wise, he looked brilliant.
Oh,
but in terms of fighting, Stipe's never been the most, I don't even say this disrespectfully, he's never been the most well-rounded fighter. He's always been a boxing-heavy fighter, and his boxing is excellent. But do you not think that Stipe looked slow in there? And he looked like a guy who hadn't fought for years. And the last time he fought, obviously, we saw him against Francis, which could happen to any human in the planet.
Yeah, of course.
Do you not? Because I think Stipe looked slow. Because I don't think Jones looked stupidly fast, but he looked way faster than Stipe, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, Stipe did look slow. Let me be honest. He did look slower than he has been. And you said the right thing there. He's mainly a boxer. He's got his wrestling and whatnot. Don't get me wrong, but he's mainly a boxer. Okay, the whole second round, the second and the third round, until he lost, was predominantly boxing. Okay, he had a good little beating in the first round, which would have affected him. Yeah. But saying that, boxing is his strongest part of his game, and he did absolutely nothing to John in the boxing. John stood and traded with him when he could, ran around the ring a few times, but hey, you're not going to stand up in front of somebody who can crack your chin. Yes, he was slower, and a lot of people are also saying, oh my God, he's fighting Stipe at 42, and the last time we saw him, he got knocked out. Yes, he did. But remember, he still actually beat Ngannou previously. It is actually 1-1 with Ngannou. People are forgetting that. They're just seeing that he got a brutal knockout, which he did. Fair enough. But it's actually 1-1. People forget that he actually beat Ngannou the first time. You know, so all of this rhetoric around Stipe, I don't think is fair. And honestly, it's making John look worse when I don't think John was that bad. Because Stipe came in there ready to fight, gave a fight, but John was just that good. That's my opinion.
I do agree with that. I do think John looked very, very good. I don't buy into the notion that John was fighting anyone who had any right to be in there with him. And again, I want to be careful how I pick my words, because Stipe is a legend and is the most decorated heavyweight in UFC, even if I don't think he's the best of all time. But he had no right being there with John Jones. What was he? I think he was ranked like number 8 in the division or something.
Yeah.
It's not like Alex Pereira fighting Khalil Roundtree, who's ranked number 8. Alex Pereira had already cleaned out the division, so there was kind of no one else for him to fight. John hasn't cleaned out the heavyweight division. He's only beaten Cyril Gane. And look, again, I know Cyril Gane's not got much ground game, but I still think Jones doesn't get as much credit for that fight as he maybe should. I think downplay some of Cyril's attributes there as well. But look, Jones went out and did what he should have done, and he put on a great display. What I didn't like is the fact.
Well, I mean, I hear what you're saying, Cal, and I'll agree with you while you're sorting out your internet. I don't think that Stipe is the best heavyweight. Fair enough, he's defended the belt the most, but I agree with you. I don't think he's the best heavyweight that has been. I mean, for me, and I guess this is a conversation for another time, but I guess like Brian Kane would have eaten him up.
Yeah.
You know, I think, so I don't think he's the best. And he just had 3 defenses. You know, that's the only reason why I think John fought him, because he's got the most defenses. So he wanted to say he could beat somebody with the most defenses.
Yeah,
that's it. So you're right. Should he have been fighting Stipe? No, he shouldn't have. And as much as, yes, I'm a John fanboy and whatnot, he should have been fighting Aspinall. We all know that. And we all hope, including myself, that that's going to be the next fight.
Well, let's quickly jump on that, because I know you've got to jump off in a couple of minutes. Jones went to the post. Well, Jones in the octagon after the fight said, "Look, I'm going to give you guys what you want."
He's bipolar, man. He must be bipolar. I swear, he must be.
So look, one thing I will say about John, he's very smart how he picks his words, because he did say, "I'm going to give you guys, the fans, what you guys want," but he never mentioned Tom Aspinall's name.
True.
And then the moment he went to the press conference, the post-fight press conference, he said, "The fight is Alex Pereira. I don't want to fight Tom. He's an a-hole. I don't like him. He's annoying." All of these things like about Tom, said he's not going to fight him. He's not going to fight a dangerous up-and-comer. He also did say Tom is the more dangerous fight, but he wants to fight. He did say that.
Yeah.
Dana's been quite adamant saying he's not going to make the Alex Pereira fight because he doesn't see any sense in it.
Yeah.
And he also said his next fight would be against Aspinall if he fights again. Otherwise, that's it.
Yeah.
John's turned around and said he wants FU money to fight Aspinall.
Yeah.
The same thing he said with Francis Ngannou, and we saw how that played out. In your honest opinion, do you think we see Aspinall versus Jones?
Honest opinion, yes. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I do believe.
Sorry,
John,
another thing. Have you seen what Jones has done this morning? He's changed his profile picture.
No. What's he changed it to?
I'll show you what he's changed his profile picture online. I'll let you speak while I'll find it quickly.
Yeah, so with the Aspinall, yes, I do think he'll fight Aspinall. Reason being, Jones, as far as we know, and the rhetoric one side and goes the other side when it comes to Ngannou. We're never really going to know who didn't want to or did want to fight who.
No, I'm not even joking here. Jones has actually changed his profile picture to this online. I kid you not. This is not me taking the mick. I swear to God, he's actually changed it and he's actually leaning into it.
Jones, he doesn't help himself, does he?
Or does he? Or does he? Because if he's making light of it himself, then maybe.
Well, That's what I'm saying, Cal. That's what I'm saying. I think they're going to fight. He's never ducked anybody as far as we know. Okay, he's taken on
Francis.
all comers. But that's why I said the rhetoric is 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. We
You
don't
don't,
know.
Francis.
We don't know, Cal. We don't know. So he's not ducked anybody. Um, he knows that fighting Aspinall and beating Aspinall is going to be great for his legacy. He knows this. He's not stupid at all. I personally think this is all a bargaining chip. I think he wants the FU money, like you said. It's going to possibly be the biggest heavyweight fight that there's ever been. I believe it will be.
Yeah.
And honestly, I know that the UFC does not like to be strong armed at all. They hate it. They're not for that. They're not for that. But for this fight, I think Jones will get that FU money and he will fight him. And I genuinely think that, remember, Jones trains how he sees his opponent. He's already said he's a dangerous opponent, which he is. We all agree. We all know that. And Jones doesn't like him. A well-trained, angry Jones is deadly. Not to say Aspinall isn't, but a well-trained, angry Jones is deadly. And I see them fighting. I see Jones actually beating him in the later rounds, bringing him into the championship rounds and beating him. Can Aspinall beat him? Of course, 100%. Aspinall is stronger than him, quicker than him, bigger than him, younger than him. To be honest, Jones should not be winning this fight. But we're talking about Jones here. We're talking about Jones, Cal.
Yeah, no, I hear it.
You know? So that's my thoughts of it. I think it's a bargaining tool. I think that they're going to offer him shed loads of money, and I think we're going to be seeing that fight weekend in July. There you go.
Here's my thing. This is why I don't know if it does happen. I think if the Fertittas were still involved, I think Jones would get that sort of money. Now that they're owned by TKO, I don't know if he does get that sort of money because he doesn't bring in that sort of revenue. I think if it was a Conor we're talking about, I think Conor does get that sort of money because on the back end he's going to make you stupid money back. I don't think
Jones. That fight will bring in the money though, Cal. The Jones and Aspinall, I think people will.
I don't think it breaks them.
Tune in. They'll tune in just to see John lose. It's like the whole Mayweather thing.
Yeah,
people used to watch Mayweather to see him lose. He just didn't lose.
Do you think it would do a million pay-per-view buys? Because I don't.
I don't know if it will do a million. I'm not saying it will do a million, but I'm saying it will do a lot better than the draw that John normally is, because people will want to see that fight. They want to see John lose. That's what most people tune in for, because they want to see, is this the person that's going to beat John? There's never been a person more in a position to beat John than Aspinall is now. This is going to be the best opportunity for anybody to beat John. And that's what people want. So I think people will tune in just to see Aspinall beat John. Unfortunately, they're going to be disappointed because the GOAT is going to beat him. But, it is what it is, isn't it?
We will see. Cal, bro, I'll let you go, man. I'll let you go.
Cal, we'll catch up, man. Blessings. We'll catch up soon, man. See you later.
Man. Take care. Shout out to Calvin as well, as always. Right, let's move back to UFC 309. If you haven't already, guys, do smash that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. On the road to 4,000 subs. Massive shout out to everyone who got us to 3,000 over the weekend. I don't take this lightly. I don't say this lightly. I am highly appreciative of every person and every account who has subscribed to this channel. Like, getting to 3K for me is a big number. On the road to 4K now, and hopefully we continue to grow and put out some good content. I have a lot of good plans for this channel, and shout out to people like Chris Brack, Martin Chu, Boo Rider, A9, etc., Dougie, Imran, Michael Corleone, Tyler, Scance, Big Yards, all you guys. Even if I haven't mentioned you, massive shout out to you guys who have helped this channel to grow. I'm massively appreciative. But obviously, I've got to give a massive shout out to Luke and Jamie, because without those two, I wouldn't have made it to half of the streams, let alone been in this position now. So shout out to everyone. UFC 309, let's get back on track. Oliveira versus Chandler. Yes, Chris, you are one of my favorite. You absolutely I can't lie. It's your smugness and your it's the cockiness for me that does it. UFC 309, Oliveira versus Chandler. Not as good as the first fight, I'd say, but still a very entertaining fight nonetheless. Oliveira went out there, got the job done. I think he injured Chandler early into the fight, which hampered Chandler's movement. Couldn't really power off that leg after I think it was done in the first round, and then I think Charles landed a vicious side kick to the knee, which really just hampered Chandler going forward. And look, I'm not going to go too deep into this in terms of who they should fight next, because I'm going to put out something on social media. So a little plug, go and follow me on Insta and TikTok, as well as Twitter as well. I'm intrigued to see what happens next with these two guys. Charles Oliveira is now #1 contender, and rightfully so. And whoever he fights for the belt will be a rematch. So he's got more vim to go into that fight. Chandler still has plenty of options because of his fighting style and how popular he is as a fighter. I thought the fight was good. I thought Chandler showed a warrior spirit because he could have kind of gone down on himself. One thing I will say, Keith Peterson, the referee, there was a lot of shots to the back of the head. Even when we were doing a watch long, I kept on saying it live. I was like, those are shots to the back of the head. And we were going back and forth, me, Cal, Jamie, and Luke were going back and forth as to whether it was the forearm hitting the back of the head or whether it was the fist. The more I see the replays, the more I sit there and I think, is Keith Peterson watching a different fight? Because let's be honest, he just kept on hitting him on the back of the head, and I'm surprised it didn't actually knock Charles out. But it just shows Charles's toughness, but also shows Chandler's toughness. Obviously did the 2 slams at the end of the fight as well. There was mutual respect between them throughout the whole lead up to the fight, during the fight, and after the fight as well. So love to see that as well. And yeah, 2 great fighters who, in my opinion, made the pay-per-view worth watching. We move on to Bo Nickal and Paul Craig. A bit of a sleeper fight, if I'm going to be honest. Not a great fight. I thought we'd have seen more grappling exchanges, but neither man really wanted to play that game. The striking was amateur at best from both. Both men aren't strikers. Paul Craig, in my opinion, has got a good jab, but he just doesn't like to commit to using it. And Bo Nickal is a new striker. I think it was both a humbling experience, but also an unfair criticism to Bo Nickal. And I'll use Khabib as an example. Most people see that Khabib is the GOAT of MMA. I think 4 people consider to be the GOAT is John Jones, obviously, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, George Rush St. Pierre, and Khabib Nurmagomedov. Bo Nickal, if I'm not mistaken, is 6-0 now as an MMA fighter. He's having his 6th fight, or his 5th or 6th fight in the octagon in New York, Madison Square Garden, in front of the president, in front of a sold-out crowd on a John Jones card, and he's the 3rd fight on the main card. I don't think people understand the pressure that comes with that. That is huge pressure to put on someone who is 6-0. Not to mention going up against someone who's very dangerous in potentially in Bo's strongest area, which is wrestling, which is Paul Craig's strongest area, which is jiu-jitsu. So that's another risk. Then he's a wrestler. He's always been a wrestler. He's never been a striker. So his striking is always going to take some time. The reason why I'm using a Khabib comparison is I remember Khabib fought in his 18th fight in the UFC. And I can't remember who he was against. It might have been Gleison Tebow or someone else. But if you go back and watch that fight with Khabib, and I'm not trying to take shots at Khabib, I never would. I respect the guy too much and rate him too highly. Khabib's striking looked really poor, but he still got the win. But because he wasn't sort of fighting on these big cards and he wasn't getting criticized, I think the issue here is not Bo Nickal. I think the issue here is the UFC trying to push him too fast and too hard. Now, I know him and Donald Trump have a relationship, so hence why he's probably on the main card. For me, he shouldn't have been on the main card, though. And if he is on the main card, he's one of the first fights. Or the first fight. He shouldn't be so high up and far up the card. And I know he's got a big name, but this is a sport where you're looking at the integrity of the sport and the best fighting the best. That wasn't the best fight in the best. And I think the UFC needs to kind of hold him back a little bit and slowly manage his career, or else we're going to have another Sage Northcutt situation where he's pushed too fast and he ends up losing fights he really shouldn't. If I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't even let Bo Nickal touch any of the top 15 opponents for now. I would keep him around the 30 mark for ranked opponents, then move him to the 20 mark, then move him to the 15. I don't think he needs to see a top 15 opponent until he's about 10-0. Continue to let him bolster himself, continue to let him learn on the job. If you rush him, you're going to end up losing a star potentially. So that's my opinion. But someone who has the potential and looks like they're going to become a star is one of the fighting nerds, and that is Ruffy, who looked excellent in his fight and called out Benoit Sanderson. Called out Benoit Sanderson. I've got the pen here. Sign me up because I'm all up for that fight. Ruffy looked really good. I got a shout out to 2 fighters on the prelims as well. Marcus McGee, excellent win over Martinez and took some real heavy leg kicks. Martinez, one of the best leg kickers in the 35-pound division. Just ask Adrian Yanez. And McGee took some horrible leg kicks and powered through to win a unanimous decision. And also Jim Miller, the timeless Jim Miller, who moves to 45 fights in the octagon with like 28 wins or something like that. And said he wants to keep on fighting until he has 50 fights in the octagon. Jim Miller is a bona fide legend at this point. And I know DC came out maybe about a year ago and said, look, he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. That's got to change. That's got to change. He should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame. And he will be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion, because of his schedule and how many fights he's had. Not to mention he had Lyme's disease at one stage as well. So he was out of the cage for a while and he still amassed this amount of fights. Jim Legend I call him, do you know what? That's his name from now on. It's not Jim Miller, it's just Jim Legend. That's what his name is, Jim Legend from now on. And he's doing great stuff for him and the sport. Speaking of someone who's done great stuff for himself and the sport, and that is Stipe Miocic. He announced his retirement from MMA on Saturday. No surprises. I think everyone knew that this was going to be his last fight, win, lose, or draw. And look, he didn't look great in the fight, partly because of his inactivity, but also because of the greatness of John Jones as well. Stipe has been a sensational fighter for the UFC. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say I think he's the heavyweight GOAT, because I'd be lying if I said that. In terms of accolades, though, he is without a doubt the most decorated MMA heavyweight fighter in the UFC. Most title fight wins, strike output, takedown defense. The guy has been excellent. And as a human being, he's led by example. He's a locker room leader. No controversy outside the cage. A firefighter while he's fighting. A family man. Again, not the best communicator in terms of speaking. Never been the best at a promo or best at selling a fight. And maybe he would have made a lot more money if he was. But one thing I rate and always admire about Stipe, he was true to himself from the beginning of his career to the very end of his career. We rate it, and over the moon for his retirement. I hope he enjoys his retirement. I don't think he's the sort of person that will come back. I think his retirement is his retirement. I don't think he would have come back to the octagon had he not got the John Jones fight. I think he'd have been retired already. But he got it, and big up to Stipe Miocic, a first ballot Hall of Famer in the future. Might even become a Hall of Fame fighter in the next round of Hall of Fame announcements, which usually happens around International Fight Week. So hopefully we'll see that. Look out for that. And Stipe, congratulations on a great career and all the best in your retirement. Speaking of someone who should have stayed retired, and I say this to someone who is probably his biggest fan, and that's Iron Mike Tyson. Iron Mike Tyson fought Jake Paul. Iron Mike Tyson and Jake Paul put on an exhibition boxing match, which was sold to us as a fight. Now, I look at this in two ways. The fight, one, in my opinion, should never have happened. Mike Tyson's 58 years old and has had health issues within the last calendar year. And Jake Paul is a young, hungry fighter who's trying to make a name for himself. So if that standpoint, I didn't want the fight to happen. However, I'm glad it did for Mike's sake. Mike got $20 million for this fight, for this exhibition. I'm over the moon for him. As his fan, I'm over the moon for him. He didn't get hurt, didn't take any damage. Did it look as though these two were, I mean, Mike looked like he was pulling punches. From what we saw in his training montages to what we saw in the ring, very different. And in the first round, he was really going after Jake, and it's almost like he was like told, like, chill out, bro. No knockouts today. So yeah, not overly happy with the event. Again, Jake Paul doing what Jake Paul does. At this point, he's just making money by being smart and also being calculated, and people are falling into the trap because people like Nate Diaz, people like Anderson Silva, Ben Askren, Mike Perry, these guys aren't getting paid as much, and maybe they should have got more over the course of their careers. Big up man like Matt in the chat. Go and subscribe to Matt's channel, the Matt One Show as well. So look, I'm happy Mike Tyson didn't get hurt. I'm happy Jake Paul didn't knock him out. I'm sure we'll see and hear of Jake Paul talk about beating Mike Tyson for the rest of his life, but we all know the real. But yeah, I think that'll be the last time we see Mike, hopefully, in the ring. And if it is, we salute him and all the best. Who does Jake Paul fight next? Honestly, I don't know. It's starting to run out of fighters who he can sort of cherry pick. He's called out Canelo. I mean, be real. Even though Jake's a lot heavier and he's on the not natural substances, Canelo washes him. Canelo's a real dangerous, heavy-handed boxer. Canelo washes him. So we'll see what happens there. And speaking of boxing, rounding off the show, Tommy Fury will be taking on Darren Till in mixed fist boxing on the 18th of January 2025. So exactly 2 months away from that fight. So Darren Till will be back fighting. He has teased recently when he was on the Ariel Helwani show that he's got a big announcement coming out soon, and he has a big announcement. Tommy Fury obviously beating Jake Paul, the only person to beat him in a boxing ring, and beating KSI as well. So beating the two biggest influences in the boxing industry back to back, will now be taking on a legit fighter in Darren Till. But Till is not a boxer. And look, there's a few different dynamics to this, because Darren Till and Tom Aspinall used to train together and they're still very good friends. But Aspinall has got a good relationship with the Furies as well. He used to box with Tyson Fury and spar with him quite a lot. So it'll be interesting to see which way Tom leans in this one, whether he does actually help Darren Till get prepared for this fight. Here's the thing, Darren Till's strike is excellent. He's just not a boxer. He's a Thai boxer, and look, Darren Till's kicking also opens up his striking. You take that away from him, I don't know if he's a good enough orthodox boxer. However, shout out to Sadiq, shout out to Andre as well, shout out to Bonkers. I don't think Tommy Fury's that great of a boxer. So, like, Tommy Fury outboxed Jake, but Jake's not a boxer. Darren Till's got enough fight experience, in my opinion, to navigate this fight and actually win. So I think this is a great opportunity for Darren Till to you know, put some fire back into his career. Do I think he'll fight in MMA again? I don't actually think so. He's had a lot of injuries, got some real bad knees as well, which is unfortunate for him. But if he can continue like fighting, look, if he goes out and beats Tommy Fury and beats him convincingly and then calls out Jake Paul, I think he gets that fight. And he'll make way more money from those fights than he would have ever made in UFC, which again kind of speaks to UFC's pay model, but that's for another show. So we'll see, people. Well, look, I'm going to wrap up there. This has been MMA Monday. Again, look out on the socials. Also, stay tuned to the channel as well. We're going to be putting out some more content over the course of the week. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter as well. Going to be putting out what I'm going to call Matchmaker Mondays on those platforms from now, where I actually look out for the fights that have happened and I build fights from the previous fight cards. So look out for that. I'll be dropping that later on at some point today. So I'd love you guys to go over there and support those channels as well. But no, people, absolute pleasure again. Another Sanderson show in the books. Another one to say bye to with 309. We'll be back tomorrow night with a live show with Luke and Jamie. You know what it is, guys. Combat catch up. and then have more shows throughout the week as well. Going to be doing some guest appearances. I said I've got some real big plans for the channel in the next month or so, so be looking out for that. But people, much love to you all. Thank you all for watching and listening. Shout out to Calvin as well. He joined before he had to shoot off. And before you go, make sure you subscribe to the Sanderson Show. Take it easy, everyone. Have a great day.